So I can hear what this sounds like now. Give me a second so I can hear what this sounds like now. Okay, I think we're fine. That was weird. Why did it switch my microphone all of a sudden? Oh man, that's unfortunate. Thankfully I caught that pretty quick. Anywho, welcome to the stream. Welcome guys to another deck tech. Dun dun dun. The highly anticipated, completely hyped up by me deck tech of my first commander deck, which I'm very excited to show off to you guys. I really want you guys to see what I'm cooking here, you know. So let's see. How do I usually start these days? I guess I'll start them by like, hey, how you guys doing? Hope you had a good week. If you're watching live or later on, you know, hopefully you had a good one. Currently today's Friday, so wherever you're watching this, hopefully you're having a good Friday or a good day in general. Cool. The soundtrack is talking to me now. I'm listening to the in case you're wondering, I'm listening to the Ragnarok OST, and I like it. It's very hyped up. I had to skip like 5 songs because they're all Christmas songs. And I know sometimes they can get you flagged. The Christmas songs can get you flagged, even though they're technically, I think Christmas songs are meant to be royalty free. I think some of them seem to be. It's just like occasionally the whatever AI YouTube is using will flag your stream. Even Twitch sometimes will flag the stream with some Christmas songs. So you always gotta be a little bit careful with holiday songs. You never know what's gonna get flagged. Thankfully none of the videos that I've had Christmas music in have been like, you know, actually like any actual problems. Usually they flag it, but they're not gonna do anything. Like they're not gonna restrict the viewers or give you a strike or anything crazy like that. Normally it's just like, oh, we noticed this song, you know, we want you to know that we know. That's usually what it ends up kind of reading like. I got my water because today we're going to be reading a lot of cards, a whole lot of cards today. Oh boy. I am kind of excited. I'm excited. I took a crack at the deck. I had a, okay, so quick story. When I was organizing the deck, I was going through the cards, and guess what? The next game I would have played, I would have been able to draw all 3 Urza lands. Within maybe the first like 5 to 6 turns, I probably could have drawn all 3 Urza lands in a game. And I was so mad. I was like, dang it. The one time, I'll talk about it later once we get to the cards and the lands. I'll talk about like the Urza lands and how rare it is to see all 3 of them in one game. And the next game I would have played, I would have seen all 3 of them. And I'm so mad. That upsets me beyond no comprehension. I'm so mad that I reorganized the deck because I'm never going to see that again. That's like the stars aligning perfectly. That's like, seriously, that's like the stars aligning perfectly and me going in there and just like shuffling them up. Anywho, that was my fun for today. Yeah, so I guess we'll kind of get started and look at some of these cards. Let me drop this down a wee bit more because it's still a tiny bit loud, or at least it's a little bit distracting to me. I don't want it that low, but I want it low enough to where, whoa, that's too loud. Come on. I'm never gonna be able to get the exact volume I want, and this doesn't help me. Adjusting this doesn't help me too much. I'm trying to do those finite adjustments. Don't mind me. How's that? I think that's okay. We'll see what the next song. Maybe that song was just unusually loud. I'm sorry, I'm always messing with the music in this. It's very unfortunate. Anywho, I'm gonna give it a second to see what the music. I'm sorry. So how was your week? I hope you had a good one, guys. I really haven't done anything. I was actually gonna stream this a little earlier than normal, but that didn't end up working out. Unfortunate. All right, whatever. I'm gonna stop touching I'm gonna stop touching the music. We got a deck to look at. All right, as you know, we have the Game Genic box that I normally have. Oh, also another thing, since I'm doing this later in the day, the color grading is probably gonna be a little bit off because I'm having to use natural light up there, up in the sky. I'm having to use my artificial lights. I don't have natural light this time around. Unfortunate. That's why I like doing these streams a little bit earlier, so I can actually have the window cracked open as I'm doing this, and I get natural clean light. Good color balancing, but you know, it is what it is. Can't always control what's going on. Anywho, we got the deck right here, and we actually have the dice. Some really cool dice. These are also no, these are not Kraken. These are from a different company that I, for the life of me, do not remember what they're called. They're pretty big where I'm at, but my goodness, look at these. Oh yeah. Super cool. I forgot the name. Like, these dice are pretty old. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh. Listen to that. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. But yeah, here are the dice that I'm using in the deck. These are awesome. I love this set. These are not, well, these are not Kraken, but they're a really cool brand. I've seen them around every so often, and I've seen these dice in particular popping up occasionally in stores, so I figured I'd take the opportunity to pick them up. So very awesome. They also make metal dice, from what I understand. Come on, let's get a nice focus. Well, oh well, that's fine. But yeah, there's my dice. Super nice. They're a little bit old, so I don't remember what they're called, but they look sick. These dice cost a lot, which I don't think I'm ever gonna buy another pair of dice like that, but I'm glad I was able to once. And then we have, of course, the combo of the boulder, the, what is it, the Ultra Guard boulder. This is the smoky clear one, and our commander. If you give me a second, without me trying to spoil everything, I'm gonna put this aside over here. There you go. There's our commander. It is Kozilek, the Great Distortion. Probably not. I mean, I don't know if it surprised anybody that this would be in my deck. A lot of people do end up kind of going with the colorless route, but I was really happy to get the. Oh, there's the massive reflection, so I'll just have to avoid this part of the screen. But yeah, I'm super happy with him. This is literally my first commander. Obviously not this particular copy, because this is actually a secret layer. If you didn't know, the artist is Chris Ron, I believe. There's his name. Really cool card. I'll go ahead and just read it, just so we can get out of the way. It's a 10 cost legendary creature Eldrazi. Whenever you cast a spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards, whenever you cast this spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw a card equal to the difference. It has menace. Discard a card with mana value X. Counter target spell with mana value X. So this is basically a what is it? Force of Will on a stick as a commander. A very big stick. Keep in mind. But yeah, in case you didn't know, a little bit of backstory for the deck is I saw my first game of, I was aware of Commander, or I was aware of Magic beforehand. However, I learned about Commander through game nights, and I believe it was Olivia. No, it wasn't Olivia. I forgot their name, but one of the contestants, one of the hosts, showed up with a Kozilek deck, and of course, not knowing anything about Magic, I saw them pilot the deck, and I was blown away by how just overpowered, not necessarily overpowered, how overwhelming this commander was on the field, considering every other deck was like trying to do its own thing, and then all of a sudden this comes out and it just completely warps the game around it. Like, you become arch enemy with this guy, and there really is nothing else. there's nothing else you could do. This really does kind of make like a new game state, you know? Is my mouth pop, 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 pop? I feel like the mic is wanting to spike more than usual. It looks like it's fine now. Okay. But yeah. The Kozilek is such a fun game that, or it's such a fun card, such a fun commander that when it comes out, it really does warp the format around itself. And I really enjoy it for doing stuff like that. There we go. So, yeah. This deck is probably, now that I've given you the context of the deck, you probably have an idea of how long I've been playing the game for. I've been playing probably for about five-ish years, about 5 years. I've been playing Commander, and this deck is about 5 years old. Yeah, about 5 years old. Some of the cards are still original to the deck. This is literally a copy paste. Well, the original deck was a copy and paste of the deck used in game nights, and then over the years I've made upgrades to it to fit my playstyle a little bit better. Upgrades that I think I like a lot more, upgrades that, you know, I think work better for the deck. This is probably the strongest deck I own, and I would be very confident in saying that it's probably a 9 at least. I don't mind saying that too much. There's not a mana crypt yet in the deck, and there's not a mana vault in the deck yet. But outside of fast mana, like there is some fast mana in there, but beyond that, there's a lot of combos. I'm usually, out of 10 games, I can usually win by a combo 6 or 7 times out of the games. Out of all the games I've won, the majority of them have been combo wins. The other ones have been just straight swinging in with my commander and just, you know, murdering someone. So those are usually the ways I win. Is the idea of the deck is you want to draw and ramp like a crazy person, and then once you get your commander out, you just want to control the board. You want to deny access to all your opponent's active things. You don't want your opponent doing anything, and then just either play combo pieces or play your big Eldrazi's. And that's kind of what the deck is trying to do. So, what else can we talk about? I think that's pretty much it. We can start looking at the strategy. You can start seeing some of the cards I put into this deck. We're going to start off with the protection package first. And also something you'll notice is because the deck is so old, I've been able to acquire a lot of different secret layers and a lot of older cards that are a little more expensive than normal. But yeah, this is kind of the deck where I make the exceptions of like, hey, I'm gonna just grab what I can. I'm gonna grab the best that I think I like in the deck. You know, the best art I like in the deck, the best cards I think work in the deck. So hopefully that reflects in this. So anyways, we're gonna be looking at the control package, or the protection spells. And we're gonna be looking at Void Wind War. As you can tell, this was an example of like a secret layer I didn't like, but it had a card that was in the 99. And I'm glad I bought it when I did, because holy cow, this card spiked up like nobody's business in price. Like I got this card for like, I don't know, like $5. This was like dirt cheap in the aftermarket, and people just weren't interested in it. But yeah, this is sort of like the bread and butter as well in the deck. So you'll normally see one of these in the 99. It says whenever your opponent can't cast spells with even mana value, your opponents can't block with creatures with even mana value. So you're basically you're unintentionally cutting off like half of their deck. Normally, I mean, obviously not their entire deck is not like 50 cards are not going to be even cost, but a majority of spells are going to be even cost. So you're going to be stopping your opponent from doing a lot of stuff with this out. And then a relatively new addition to the list is the One Ring. It's in the protection package because it can protect you. However, this is definitely more of a draw spell, and it's a very good one. So I quite like having this in the 99. So it's a 4-mana artifact. It has indestructible. Whenever the One Ring enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. Super cool. Love that. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring. And then you can tap it, put a burden counter on the One Ring, then draw a card for each burden counter on the One Ring. Really nice. Like, holy cow. This does everything and more And it's also in the same vein as like a Black Market Connections, where the value is extremely high, but you're having to pay for that value in a sense of like, oh, all of a sudden you're getting all these burning counters. You're getting burned for like five damage each turn. Each time you tap this, you get burned for 5. And for like a stronger deck like this, it's not too big of a deal if you're getting hit a bunch, if you're losing a lot of health. However, like, I haven't been like killed by this, but I've been very close to getting killed by this. Usually the card draw is much more relevant than the damage you're taking. So I like running it in here, and it's nice to have protection from everything for a turn. So it's really nice to, like, if you could throw your commander out and then you throw this afterwards, you're good to go. Not of this world. Super cool. In this deck, it's mostly a free counterspell. So this says counter target spell or ability that targets a permanent you control. Really nice. And then this card costs 7 less to cast if it targets a spell or ability that targets a creature you control with 7 power or greater. So you're kind of saving this for Kozilek, because as soon as Kozilek hits the field, or any of your Eldrazi's hit the field, they're going to just be immediately countered. They're going to get dealt with. They're not going to last very long. So you normally want to hold this up for, protection. And yeah, it's really good because they also negate the abilities. So even if somebody taps their creature to destroy your thing, you can still use this to protect your stuff. Lightning Greaves, awesome art. If I can show the foiling, I definitely will. This is from the from one of the more recent Secret Layers. It has that galaxy foiling from Infinity. Danny is the artist. Very cool. As soon as I saw this card, I knew I needed this. I'm so glad I was able to get my hands on it before they went out and sold out. Well, they didn't sell out, but like before the window closed to buy them. So this is Lightning Greaves, 2 mana artifact. The equipped creature has haste and shroud, equipped 0. Really nice. Occasionally pretty good protection, because the Kozilek deck isn't inherently trying to target Kozilek. There's very few times where I'm trying to like boost up his power or trying to make him unblockable. Normally I'm trying to like combo things off. So a lot of times this is just like a haste enabler and decent protection. However, if I need to like if I need to target my creature, I just take these off, and it's usually not an issue. Darksteel Forge is a 9 mana. Man, this thing is expensive. This was in the original list, so I was very happy to be able to pick this up. Artifacts you control have indestructible. Just straight up, your stuff's not going to get easily blown up. However, exile spells and other ways to deal with your stuff have become a lot more prevalent. So not as strong as it used to be, but it still is a pretty strong card. And I'm glad I was able to pick one up. Oh my god, I love seeing this card. This is honestly, oh man, this is such a cool card. The Commander Blade. This is from the Angel's Secret Lair that I was able to get. That's a 1 mana artifact. Equipped creature gets a 3/3 and it has protection from every color that's not in your commander's color identity. Equipped commander is 3, and then equip, any other creature is 5. Holy cow. You throw this on Kozilek, that's it. It's essentially hexproof, like, or is it protection from every player? Each color, that's, yeah, I guess it's like Shroud essentially with Kozilek on the field. Since he has no colors, nothing can target him. So it's awesome. That's like one of my favorite spells, one of my favorite protection spells in the deck. I love the technicality of it. Let's see, what's the next one? Board wipes. Board wipes is our next category. And our first card is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. It's our first Ugin in the deck. Obviously, this is the Kellogg's one that I believe was in a tournament. You could get in tournaments. Thankfully, I was able to get one. And what he does is you can +2 him. So he comes in with 7 loyalty. If you +2 him, this deals 3 damage to any target. Really nice, because you can hit anything. You can snipe whatever you feel like. And then -X, exile each permanent with mana value X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Normally, you're gonna it's a pseudo board wipe. And then the last one is probably the one that everybody loves trying to proc. It is you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put the 7 permanents, and then put up to 7 permanents cards from your hand onto the battlefield. You just bleh. you bleh your stuff into the battlefield, and your opponents can't do shit about it. It's very fun when you have like 3 of the Titans in your hands, and you ultimate this. It's GG, game's over. So love this card so much. I'm glad I was able to get it in this style. Calamity of the Titans. Here's one of the cards that came in, that was released somewhat recently, I believe in Modern Horizon. One of the Modern Horizons. It's pretty nice. I was able to get it extended. Mostly the reason why this is here is because it's very on flavor. I just like that it has Ulamog on the art. It is a 6 cost. As an additional cost of this spell, reveal a colorless creature card from your hand. Very easy in this deck. Exile each creature and planeswalker with mana value less than the reveal mana card, the card's mana value. So this card rewards you for playing high-costed creatures, and it was basically built for a deck like this, where you have to reveal a colorless spell. It has to have a massive mana value, and then you're basically getting rid of everything that I believe has colors. No, it's just any. So even you're also going to hit your opponent's artifacts, your opponent's colorless creatures, and their planeswalkers as well with this. So really strong. I'm glad that it's not crazy expensive to get your hands on one of these. Here's Blast Zones. Something you'll notice really quick is that I have a lot of lands in different parts of the deck. Not all the lands are in the land spot, and it's mostly because this deck, because it's a colorless deck, it's very difficult to get the utility that you need. So things like draw spells, ramp, board wipes, target removal. It's very difficult to find on other permanents other than lands. So I tried to utilize my lands as, double duty. So like, for instance, Blast Zone. It's not a great board wipe, but it can be a board wipe. It does. I'll read it. So Blast Zone enters the battlefield with the charge counter on it, and then it taps for colorless. XX, you can tap this, put X charge counters on Blast Zone. Okay, so what's it going to do with all that? So its last ability is you can pay 3, tap this, sacrifice this, destroy each non-land permanent with the mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. So it's a lot of setup. I'm not gonna lie, this is a ton of setup. But the nice thing is that 90% of the time, this is just a land. You're very rarely going to be investing any mana into getting a charge counter on this. However, it's nice that in the off chance that you have extra mana to burn, you can just load this up and at some point in the future, you can just destroy everyone's stuff. So not a great board wipe, but it's at least a board wipe to get the board wipe count up. And then this is all is dust. Classic Eldrazi board wipe. See if we can get this thing to focus. Very cool. Yeah, love this. And then what does it say? Each player sacrifices all permanents they control that are 1 or more colors. So again, one-sided board wipe. You're basically never going to be sacrificing your own stuff. Your opponents are going to just be they're going to be devastated by that. For 7 mana, I think it's an okay board wipe. It's a good board wipe for the cost. And then the next category we're looking at target removal. So with our target removal, we'll start with Bane of Valaged, the 7 mana Eldrazi creature. Whenever Bane of Valaged attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. So this is like super annihilator. This is not only destroying permanents, it's exiling permanents. Really nice, really good removal for 7 mana. Easy include in the deck. Ghost Quarters. Good old classic Ghost Quarters. Very good land to get rid of other lands. So you can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it, sacrifice it. Destroy target land, its controller may search the library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. So I've seen a lot of discussions of like, oh, what's the best destruction land, for cheap. And I'm still in the boat that Ghost Quarters is probably the best because it doesn't require any mana input. However, you are giving your opponent a land back. You're not really, you're going down a card, so I understand that part. However, I feel like to be able to target any of your opponent's lands with no questions asked, I think that is really nice for this. So that's why I choose to run Ghost Quarters over the other ones. This is Karn Liberator. It's another Planeswalker. I think this deck has probably the most Planeswalkers in it, which is really cool. I'm glad I was able to do that. So Karn Liberator is +4. Target player exiles a card from his or her hand, -3. You can exile target permanent. That's why it's in this position. And then the ultimate, you really shouldn't use the ultimate on this, but I will read it. If you could manage to get to 14, you can restart the game, leaving in exile all non-aura permanent cards exiled with Karn Liberator. Then put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. So interesting. I've never actually read that part of the, because usually it's the first line of text that people care about is restart the game. I believe it leaves you ahead, if I'm reading this right. All non-aura permanent cards exiled with this, then put them into the battlefield under your control. So I believe any card that is already exiled can come to your battlefield, if I'm reading that correctly. However, it doesn't really matter what it does. I don't ever ultimate this guy. I just use him for removal, and that's basically it. So Lux Cannon, oh boy. This used to be such a powerhouse, man. I love this card. It sucks that it's what was the partner card with this? I already forgot the name of it. Mystic Forge, I believe. No, was it Mystic Forge? I don't remember. This card had a partner card where they used to go infinite. However, because the partner card to this got banned, this is not nearly as strong as it used to be, but I still like it. I think it's still good. Still makes sense. If you do manage to like, can it? No, it can't untap itself. So you need something to untap this. So it is a 4-mana artifact. Put a charge counter. You can tap it. So let you look at it real quick. There you go. So tap it, put a charge counter on Lux Cannon, and then its second tapped ability. You tap this, remove 3 charge counters from Lux Cannon, destroy target permanent. So again, we're talking about a very slow target removal. However, it is 4 mana, and you don't need to invest any extra mana into it. So you just leave it on the field, you tap away with it, and then eventually you'll get to blow something up. Your opponents are usually aware of what's going on with this. They're always paying attention to this because this can very easily just remove something. So they'll usually have an answer to this by the time you get to 3 counters. However, it's good to have. I like having it in the deck. I think it still works. And then our next one, Strip Mine, a classic. Love this land. Now this is like the top dog removal. You can tap this to add a colorless to your mana pool, or you can tap it, sacrifice it, destroy target land, no questions asked. So I love this Infinity style that they did for this land. It's very cool. I believe it's Galaxy Foil as well. Yeah, you can see the little particles in there. But yeah, super cool. Love that card. Titan's Presence, 3 mana instant. There it is. And then as an additional cost to this spell, reveal a colorless creature card from your hand. Pretty easy. Exile target creature if its power is less than or equal to the revealed card's power. Very easy in this deck. A lot of our creatures are very high power, have very high power. So you'll usually be able to remove whatever you feel like with this. For 3 mana, it's really good instant removal. Oh man. Here's a sort of, not really, I would say Psionic Resonator is scraping the bottom of the barrel. This is just before the bottom of the barrel. Transmogrifying Wand is a 3 mana artifact. And it is actually pretty good removal. I don't think this is like a bad spell. I don't think this is a very bad artifact. I just think there are better spells out there. However, in colorless, you kind of use what you can get. So this enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. You can pay 1, tap it, remove a charge counter from this target creature, destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 White Ox creature token. Activate this ability anytime you could cast a sorcery. So this is sorcery removal, sorcery speed removal, and It's not bad. It's good. You get to remove 3 things 3 times, and it's only creatures, I believe. Yeah, destroy target creature. So I like it. Wasteland, another great one. On par with Strip Mine. Yeah, this is on par with Strip Mine in my eyes. I don't think it's better or worse. And it is tap at colorless, or you can tap it, sacrifice it, destroy target non-basic land. So really good. Usually you want to destroy a non-basic land. It's very rare that you want to destroy a basic land. And then our next category is going to be our draw spells. Let's see. Yep, there we go. So our draw spells are pretty, not horribly too many. In fact, I think there's like, what, 10? Let me double check for you. Where are the draw spells? 14 draw spells. Wow, that's 4 more than I usually like to play. So Azur's Gateway, this is I don't know, I haven't had a chance to play this yet. However, I think it's okay draw. I think it's an okay draw spell. So it's a 2-mana artifact. Tap it, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand. If the card with 5 or more different converted mana costs are exiled this way, you gain 5 life, untap it, and then transform this. So the nice thing is that with Kozilek, you have basically the entire gamut of mana cost. So you'll have mana from 1 all the way down to like 13. So getting this to flip is not impossible. However, you don't want to really be exiling your cards unless there's a good reason. Let's see if this is a good reason. Sanctum of the Sun. Sanctum of the Sun is tap at X amount of let me try that again. Let me get some water as well. Whoa. All right, let's do that again. Tap add X mana of any one color to your mana pool, where X is your total life. So if the stars align, you can tap this for like 20 mana of any one color. Not normally an issue, because while you do have to worry about colorless pips, generic costs you could usually tap and get. You can filter whatever color you want into generic cost. It's just the colorless pips you have to worry about, which is never really an issue, honestly. I've never noticed. I've never had an issue casting my stuff with it. Bonder's Enclave, we've seen this one before. Pay 3, tap it, add a card. Activate this ability only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Very easy for us to do. It's not the first time we've seen this card, so I like it. I like it for just generic draw. It's very easy to proc. Conduit of Ruin, 6 mana creature, and it says when you cast this, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So this is one of the rare occasions where it's like this thing is doing like 2 awesome things at the same time. It is letting you tutor. It's like, what is it? Worldly Tutor, I believe, is one of the tutors that lets you top deck your search. And then obviously it's letting you, it's also a mana reducer. So really nice. I think this is just a really good card. However, it's 6 costs. 6 costs is not an easy thing to pay for. Let's see if we can get a nice focus. There you go. But yeah, for 6 cost, I think it's pretty good. Getting 6 mana on the field is never that crazy hard in this deck. Endbringer, 6 mana ability. Cool thing is that I ended up buying the serialized version. I didn't expect that. I don't know how much this card costs, but I know serial cards end up costing a lot for some reason. I'm not really sure why, because in my opinion, they don't look that much better. It's literally just a tramp stamp. So it is what it is. At least I was able to get it. So what does this do? You can untap this during each other opponent's or each other player's upkeep step. So basically you get to untap this on every upkeep, on everyone else's upkeep too. And then you can tap this deals 1 damage to target creature or player. It's okay. You can pay 1, tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. I really like that ability, because then you can start manipulating combat steps in case you don't want someone to win, or in case, you know, you want to mess with someone. It's always fun. And then you can pay 2 colorless, tap it, draw a card. That's normally what I like doing with this, is that I like being able to draw with this. The other abilities are okay, but never super relevant. Expedition Map for 1 mana. Really good card. I like this card a lot. So tap it, you can pay 2, tap this, sacrifice this, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So this is just a tutor for whatever land you want. There are a lot of lands in this deck that I want to tutor. It just depends on what it depends on the board state, what land I want to get. But normally I'm trying to at least get one of the Urza lands with this. So really nice. Eye of Ugin. Ooh. There you go. There is Eye of Ugin. This is colorless of draws spells you cast, cost 2 less to cast. Pretty nice. I don't know why Ugin would do that, but he does. You can pay 7, tap this, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. A tutor, colorless tutor. Awesome. Costs you 7 mana to tutor, but at least you can tutor. And then our next one, Inventor's Fair. Awesome card. You can, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. Pretty easy to do in this deck. You can tap this, add colorless, or you can pay 4, tap this, sacrifice this, search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So here we go, a much cheaper tutor for specifically artifacts. And again, it's another one of those situational things. Sometimes if I have combo pieces in my hand, I'll go search out the partner piece for the combo. Or if I don't have any combo piece, I'll just get Blightsteel for this card. So awesome card for the cost. Matter Reshaper. This is from another secret layer, from the same one that the Getrog is from. Super cool card. Pay 3. It's a 3 mana creature. When this dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card with mana value of 3 or less. That normally doesn't happen. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So normally you're just gonna end up either putting a land on the field, or you're gonna end up just drawing something. So really good. It's also like a 3/2 for 3 mana. It's a very good chump blocker, so I like having it. Sanctum of Ugin. Another Ugin land. Wow. So you can tap this for generic mana. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with converted mana cost 7 or greater, you may sacrifice this. If you do, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Awesome. Another tutor. Just another tutor on the land. Great to have for 7 mana. And then Sensei's Divine Top, one of our combo pieces. It took me a while to like get used to the combo, but I think I have a pretty okay grasp at it. Now, this is just a really nice way to like search through your deck. You can kind of just go through your deck and look at some stuff. Normally you'll be able to draw and then fill out your hand, sculpt your hand to what you want. So this is a 1 mana artifact. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order, and then you can tap this, draw a card, then put this on top of its owner's library. So gets pretty weird. Normally you want to get this with like a basalt monolith, so you can sculpt your hand, you can draw the cards out, you can look at your cards, and then you can grab what you need. It's really nice, and it's always nice that you always will just have access to this. It normally doesn't get removed very easily. Tamio's Journal, 5 mana artifact. Very old tutor in the deck. Very old tutor, but I still like having it because it is a tutor, so it's good to have in the deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. Investigate means you just make a clue token, which clue tokens are you pay 2, tap it, and then sacrifice it, draw a card. And then this is tap, sacrifice 3 clue tokens, search your library for a card okay. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. So another tutor, just pretty free tutor. It just takes a while takes a while for it to tick up. Thematic compass. This is one of the, we've seen this one before as well. This is another draw spell that flips into a land. You pay 3, you tap it, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 7 or more lands, transform this. And then we'll look at the transformation. Spirit of Orzak, I believe. Whoa, very cool. And then you can tap this, add colorless, or you can tap this, untap target attacking creature and opponent controls and remove it from combat. So I believe, what is it? What's the name of that land? It's something mind. Maze, something like maze. Oh no, I can't remember the name of it. But that's basically, it's a really good way to like mess with your opponent's combat steps. So really nice to have. I actually don't mind just leaving it as a compass, because this lets you just fetch out your lands pretty easily. But we don't have a lot of basic lands, so yeah, you know, you can flip it after you pull out all your basics. It doesn't take very long to pull out your basics. The Immortal Sun. Boom, 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 boom. Man, this card was a real pain in the ass to get my hands on. It took a while for this thing to get reprinted and for the price to actually drop. So 6 mana. It's a legendary artifact. Players can activate Planeswalker's loyalties abilities. So that includes you as well. So you don't really want to be playing this when you have your Ugin out or your Karns out. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Very nice. Spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. Really nice to have. Creatures you control get a 1/1. So this is just basically everything. This is like the whole package. This is never a dead card unless you have your Planeswalkers out. Then you don't really want it out there. And then the last draw spell is War Room. We've seen this one. This one I think is in almost every deck of mine. I don't think I have a deck without one of these in it. It's really nice in this one too, because you don't have to pay any mana. You don't have to pay life into it because your commander has no colors. So you pay 3, tap it, you draw a card, and you never get punished for it. So it's really nice. And then our next thing is we're going to be looking at Ramp. So the Ramp recently got updated with some new cards. Some old classics in there as well. But some really nice new cards. That previously were not available to me because of how much they cost. Ta-da! Aether's Vial. This is probably the newest addition I put into the deck. I love the design of this card. This Secret Lair was seriously, like, they knocked it out of the park with this Secret Lair. Very happy with the way the artist designed this. Ravina. I think I got that name right. Let me see if I can get the name on the camera. Oh boy, it's gonna be backwards, but hopefully you'll be able to read it. There you go. Just flip your monitor and you'll be able to read that. But yeah, Aether's Vial was actually a card that I don't think was printed for the longest time. Wasn't reprinted in the longest time, and then this was its first reprinting. So this was really nice. I believe the card was like, it was like a $30+ card before the Secret Lair dropped. I think. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I believe that's why this held its value for so long, because it's not a super great card. Let me go ahead and read it for you. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on this, and then you can tap this. You may put a creature card with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand onto the battlefield. So super cool. This, like, if this can sit on the battlefield long enough, you will be able to tutor out like 3-cost creatures, 4-cost creatures. I cannot imagine you'll be able to get your Eldrazi's out with this, because it's only on the beginning of your upkeep you can put charge counters on there. So there's no like charge counter duplicators. Like, I can't put more charge counters on it. However, it's really nice to have, because then you can play your mana dorks for free. And obviously the card looks amazing, and I was very happy to add this to the deck. Balin's Tomb, also known as Ancient Tomb. This was from the Lord of the Rings set. So Very happy to get my hands on this. There you go. And this is, you can tap this, add 2 mana. This deals 2 damage to you. So really good. Great land. Amazing ramp. Basalt, you can look at the, this is going to show the age of the deck. So Basalt Monolith. Look how crunchy and crusty this card is. This is definitely 5 years worth of wear and tear. My goodness. Basalt Monolith is a 3-cost artifact. You can tap this, add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. Does not untap as normal during upkeep phase. You may spend 3 mana at any other time to untap. Drawing mana from this artifact is paid as an interrupt. So a lot of very old text on this guy. This is, I don't know exactly when this card came out. However, it definitely has, it's definitely wearing its years on its face. Like, you can definitely see the age of this card. So Basalt Monolith is famously is an infinite mana source in the right combo decks. So it's very easy. Like, you can literally, like, I think even with Soul Ring, you can make infinite mana with this. I believe so. So no, because you need something to untap. No, you need this and Unwinding Clock, and then an extra mana source, because otherwise you're just filtering all your mana into the same thing. So you need 1 more extra mana to untap. But there are plenty of ways in this deck that we can make more mana with this. But yeah, this is purely just a combo piece. Normally you don't play it with any other card. Like, you don't just use it unless you want like 3 mana, like there. Like, if you need 3 mana, you can use it. But I usually just save it for infinite combos. Inspiring Sanctuary. Surprisingly good card in this deck, because there's a lot of artifacts in this deck, if you didn't notice. So it turns all your artifacts into mana dorks. So non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise. So your artifacts can help cast this spell. Each artifact you tap adds pays for 1 generic. So yeah. So non-artifact spells you have Improvise. So basically means you can use your artifacts to tap to create mana for your non-artifact spells, which is really nice because we tend to have a lot of artifacts that just kind of sit there and don't do anything. So it's nice to have that. I think it was a good addition to the deck. A familiar face. Liquid Metal Torque. I completely forgot why I have this in the deck. I think it's just like a good cost mana dork, a good cost mana source, and I believe it combos with another land I have in the deck. So really nice. We've talked about it. It basically turns a non-target permanent into an artifact in addition to its other types, and then you can also tap it for mana. So nice card. Really good in some occasions. Oblivion Sower. Bum, 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 bum. Another big Eldrazi, 6 mana Eldrazi. It is a 5/8. When you cast Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of their library. Then you may play any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. So, really nice, because if you manage to exile 4 of your opponent's cards, you'll be able to play whatever lands they have. If they already have lands in exile, like if, for instance, if somebody played a Bajuka Bog and then you play this, you have access to all their exile lands, including the 4 that they just played. So really good, cool, very cool ramp. I think a very underrated ramp spell, but it's only ever played in Eldrazi's. So Ornithoptera Paradise, 2 mana mana dork. It has flying. It's a chump blocker sometimes. Quicksilver Amulet, man. I feel so bad for this card, because this card has seen like some crazy price jumps all over the place. This thing has like dropped to like, you know, dirt cheap prices, and then it's jumped up to decent prices, and then it's dropped right back down. This card has been all over the place, but I'm glad, because I think more people should be able to play it. It's a very good generic artifact. As you can see, it looks awesome. 4 mana enchantment, or 4 mana artifact. You can pay for it, tap it. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. This basically cheats out your Eldrazi's. Anything that's above 4 costs, you can cheat out with this. Very good mana seek. And then, of course, what commander deck doesn't have a Soul Ring? Especially one that looks this nice. Oh, mama. Love this card. Soul Ring, you tap it, you add 2 to your mana pool. Very good. Soul Talisman. What are you doing in here? Well, basically Soul Ring, but with Suspend. As you can tell, it has no mana. So you just suspend it for one, you suspend it. 3 turns later, you'll get a Soul Ring essentially. So really nice. It's a really good like turn 1. If you draw it, you could just play it. No, wait, no, you can't. Unless you have a land. You play your land, then you suspend this, and then by the time you need it, you have it. So really good. Solemn Cyclonaturum. Oh man, that sad robot. I can never say the second word. Simulacrum. There you go. Simulacrum. Solemn Simulacrum. Man, that is one hell of a tongue twister. This is the, I believe this was the bonus card from the Secret Layer set. And my goodness, I mean, I haven't had a Solemn in my deck in a very long time. Like, this was one of the first ramp spells that got replaced in the deck. So I'm very happy to see it come back in a new art form. It's very sick looking. And of course it has the foiling. And then if you don't know what this does, it's a 4-mana artifact creature. It's a 2/2. When this enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tab, then shuffle. And then when this dies, you may draw a card. So it is just a good card. It's just pure value. There's never like a bad time to use it. It's always a good body to defend with. It's a good ramp if you don't have any ramp in your starting hand. And I like it. I mostly like the art of it. So that's why it made its way back. And then we have Sword of Feast of Famine. Man, times have changed. This used to be a bomb. This was such a bomb card to throw on the field. Like, it was so strong. People were scared of this guy. But over the time, it just kind of got power crept. But I still like it. I think it's still a good card. In case you haven't seen a Sword of Feast of Famine in a while, that's what they look like. I wasn't able to get the Masterpiece. I'd like to get the Masterpiece at some point, but man, that card is expensive, and I'm not interested in buying that much, spending that much money on a card. So this is a 3-mana artifact. You can equip this, or equip creature gets up 2/2 and have protection from black and from green. Pretty good colors to be protected from. Very, very common to see. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and you untap all lands you control. So very easy. You, especially like after playing an Eldrazi, like one of your Eldrazi's, being able to swing in with this and then untapping all your lands and then playing another Eldrazi is big, is huge, is awesome. I love this. Still a really strong card. I think it still has a place in the top metas. Sword of the Amethyst. This is again, this is actually a card I had for a long time in the deck. And then of course the Secret Layer came out and I just had to pick it up. Very happy, very fortunate to be able to order this, because when this came out, Secret Layers are currently limited stock. So basically, Wizard of the Coast comes up with an arbitrary number of how many to print, and then whatever is bought of that arbitrary number, that's what's getting made, and you know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I was thankful that I was able to pick this up when I did, because this sold out very quickly. And there's also a very small window between when the cards are shown to when the window is available to purchase them. So you get about a week, you get roughly a week between the cards being shown off and the Secret Layer being live. So within that week, you have to decide whether or not you want the deck. So man, it's rough, but I was very happy to get this. Thought Vessel. Thought Vessel was another card that was cut from the deck and then immediately made its way back in once the Secret Layer came out. The art is so sick on this. I love the art. You have no maximum hand size, and then you can tap it, add colorless to your deck. It's a 2-mana artifact. And I cut it from the deck a while ago because I never really had to worry about my hand size. Normally my hand size was pretty medium because I was using my spells as counter spells. So I never really felt the need to have a no maximum hand size. However, it's nice to have the card back in the deck. I think it's good. It's just a good mana rock. So no complaints. Treasure map. Here's, I think we've seen this card before as well. Treasure map, you pay 1 scry, put a landmark counter on this. Then if you have 3 or more landmark crowns on this, you can, let's see, remove those counters, transform this map, and create 3 treasure tokens. And then what does this transform into? This transforms into Treasure Cove. Yo. Oh man, the perspective was really weird because I had the card like that and the sword looked massive. That's just, the sword's on the foreground. So this is tap, add colors to your mana pool, and then you can sacrifice the treasure, draw a card. So this is cool. This turns your treasures into draw spells, which is nice. And overall, just being able to make treasures or being able to scry is okay because you kind of want to see, your pieces. However, this is mostly just a mana source. And then our next card is Urza's Incubator, a classic card. 3 mana artifact, reduce the cost of creature type by 2. Very nice. I'm glad I was able to pick this up as well. And then the good old classic, good old faithful, man. This card. I always have a hard time cutting this card, man. Especially in a colorless deck. This is a very difficult card to cut because I just like this card so much. It's a 1 mana artifact. There we go. Wait. The good old reliable Wayfarer's Bauble, man. You can't beat this card. Pay 2 sacrifices, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Easy. 1 mana artifact, 2 mana ability to activate. Awesome. It's gonna be a while before I find a decent replacement for that card. It's just too good. It really is too good. And then what are we looking at next? I believe now we're going to the main strategy. Yeah, this looks like the strategy of the deck. So we're about, I believe, halfway through the deck. Make sure I grab all the appropriate cards that I need. Yeah, give me a second. Don't want to show any spoilers. Yep, that's it. So we have 25 cards in our main strategy. These are mostly going to be like big fuck off spells. They're either combo pieces or big fuck off spells. There is no chill in this deck. So Chroma's Memorial, 7 mana artifact. This basically, creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, protection from black, and protection from red. So that's a lot of keywords to give your creatures for 7 mana. Probably one of the weaker cards in the deck. Still really good for what it does. However, I've had this card burn me more times than not. I think whenever I've drawn this card, I've never been too jazzed about it, but I mean, it does so much. It gives your stuff haste. That's not terrible. Plus it's also a 7 cost. If your opponent ever wants to board wipe, or if your opponent wants to do something for 7 mana, they have to answer this. So I think it's okay. I don't mind it in the deck, but it's definitely pretty weak, especially compared to Blightsteel Colossus. Oh my god. What a journey I have been on to get this card. I've been on the lookout for this card since it got released. And man, I paid the price for this bad boy. I'm so mad. I'm so mad because like very shortly, I have a similar story to another card with this. But I bought this card and it like very shortly after tanked in price. For whatever reason, it tanked. So I ended up paying a very high cost for this card. But you know what? I gladly paid that price because I had been looking for this card for years, like for so long. Since it got released, I've been looking for it, for this exact art. Because I had the original Blightsteel, but I wanted this version because it looks so cool. And I still do not regret getting it. I don't regret paying what I paid for it because it was good. I'm just angry. I'm filled with rage because the price of it dropped so significantly. and it feels like I'm the one that got suckered. But it's okay because I love the card. I think it's great. It's a 12 mana ability, and it's an artifact creature that's an 11/11, and it has trample, infect, indestructible, a big fuck off body. If this would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, reveal this and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. Oh, my throat. Oh man, my throat is dying on me. But yeah, Colossus, Blightsteel Colossus is just the poster child for big fuck off creatures, and I love him for that. He immediately requires an answer, and in a deck like this, there's not usually an answer. Dark Depths. We've definitely seen this in the past. This is in the Space Godzilla deck. And I don't know how to feel about this card. I like the fact that we have a full art version of this. I'm not too crazy that it's mostly a gradient, a blue gradient with like a slight sign of a creature down here. We talked about this in the past. It enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters. You can pay 3 to remove an ice counter on it. And then when it has no ice counters, you create a legendary black art avatar creature that's a 20/20. It has flying and indestructible. Big fuck off creature. Love it. Dousing Dagger. 2 mana ability or 2 mana artifact. When this enters the battlefield, target opponent creates a 0/2 green plant creature token with defender. Equipped creature gets 2/1. And whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform this. And then the equipment is 2. And then I'll go ahead and flip it so you guys can check it out. Transforms into a land. Lost Veil. Bum, 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 bum. Don't normally get to see these cards. I don't flip them very often. Add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Good land. Big land. Very big land. Somewhat easy to flip, but not very often. Wow. Please stay there. And then our next card. Eldrazi Conscription. There we go. Again, another great secret layer. This is sort of the era where secret layers have started to get like a little harder to read. However, I feel like this is still pretty tasteful. I think the design kind of reads pretty well still. So what does this card do? Eldrazi Conscription. It's a enchantment aura. Enchant creature gets 10/10 and has trample and annihilator 2. Wow. Probably one of the strongest equipment auras you can get out there. However, for 8 mana, you're definitely paying the piper for this one. But I think it's definitely worth its cost. Emrakul, the Promised End. Now, when we talk about big fuck off creatures, this is what we're talking about. Look at that. 13 mana, man. There are not a lot of 13 mana spells out there. I'll tell you what. Really, I think it's just this. I think only Emrakuls have 13 mana, from what I understand, from what I remember. So this is 13, 13, 13. Power and defense, of course, 13. When this costs 1 less for each card type among cards in your graveyards. That's things like, oh gosh. I think it's like lands, creatures, artifacts, battles, enchantments. I think it's like, this could potentially at most get like a -6 cost. I think there are 6 different types in the game. Normally I don't have to worry about that because getting 13 mana is not impossible in this deck. So what else does it do? When you cast this, gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. And then it has flying, trample, protection from instants. So this is not getting dealt with. This is like hexproof, like really good hexproof. And then you also get to steal your opponent's turn. I mean, you get to take one of your opponent's turns. And in return, they get another turn. However, with their other turn, they're normally just trying to recover from what you did to their hand. I love playing Emrakul. Emrakul is such a funny card to play on your opponent. You're just like, boop. Oh, I got your turn. I'm gonna Just waste all my mana, waste all my mana, kill my creatures, throw them at my Emrakul. I love this card. It's so much fun. It's seriously so much fun to play. Flare of Loyalty. This is like Emrakul Jr. It's a 10 cost, 10 mana. It was one of the newer Eldrazi's that they released. Also really strong. Great card. So whenever you cast a spell, gain control of target creature until the end of turn. Or whenever you cast this spell, gain control of target creature until the end of turn. Untap that creature until the end of turn. It has base power and toughness 10/10 and gains trample, Annihilator 2, and haste. And then this creature itself has trample and Annihilator 2. So this is great. If your opponent has something you want to steal, you can steal it. However, you can normally use this on like one of your creatures. Like if you have like a Geo Golem or something. Oh, card got left behind. Definitely don't want to lose that card. But if you have something like a Geo Golem or like a Ornithopter of Paradise, you can use this to make it a 10/10 with the trample and Annihilator 2 and haste as well. So this is just a great, this is like better than I think there's a card, I think, what was it called? Eldrazi Twins, something like Twins of like Chaos, something like that. There's another Eldrazi card that basically is a 10/10 that makes a 10/10. And this is basically just the straight up, this is the straight upgrade to that card. Because you just turn something else into a 10/10 and then they can swing in as well. So really cool card. Awesome. Forsaken Monument. You've seen this card before. However, in this deck, it is far more powerful. This deck can utilize this card way better than the other one I have it in the Get Rog. So Forsaken Monument, 5 mana. Colorless creatures you control get 2/2. Basically, everything's getting a 2/2. Whenever you tap a permanent for colorless, you add an additional permanent. Everything taps for 2 extra mana. And then whenever you cast a colorless spell, you gain 2 life. Easy, very easy. This is like an all-star in this deck. It's incredible how strong this card is. Geo Golem, 5 mana creature. I love Geo Golem. He's such a good guy. Yeah, he's a 5/3. He has trample. And whenever Geo Golem deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. This is a very fun, like, I'm gonna get you kind of stick, you know? It's like, this is the poke and stick. I really love Geo Golem because he really is just like a poke and stick. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you with Kozilek. You better get rid of this guy. Ooh. I love Geo Golem. He's so much fun. If you've never played with the Geo Golem, I would recommend it. He's a lot of fun to get out there and then like start like trying to attack your opponents with. Start freaking them out. Golden Guardian. Golden Guardian we've seen in the past. It's a 4 mana artifact. A lot of times this card has burned me. I might start cutting this from the decks, but it's okay because it's like a pseudo land. It's also a body, but it's not a great body. And it has Defender. It's a 4/4. Tap. Golden Guardian fights another target creature you control. When Golden Guardian dies this turn, return it to the battlefield, transform under your control. And then, of course, when you have Eldrazi's, it's very easy to fight them and have this thing die. In other decks, it's a little bit harder. And then Gold Forge Garrison. The Golden City. There you go. And then this is a land. You can tap it to add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool, or you can pay for, tap it, create a 4/4 golem artifact creature token. Really good. Awesome card. Great land. Okay body. Somewhat easy to flip in this deck since you have a lot of big body creatures that you can throw it at. And then our next one is It That Betrays. A 12 mana creature. And as you can tell, this is the secret layer version of It That Betrays. I think I like the art. I'm a bit on the fence about it because both versions of it kind of look good. I don't think you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna be going wrong with either version of it. And it's I'll go ahead and read it. It's a 11/11 Annihilator 2, very important. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So against black decks, this is like game over for them. This is just like the this is like the worst enemy to black, because black decks a lot of times they want to reanimate, and this is you telling them you can't. If you're gonna reanimate, you're gonna reanimate for me. So great card, especially at 12, like 12 mana. It's okay. It's not too hard to get to, but by the time you're at 12 mana, your opponents can start bringing back pretty significant bodies, so it's nice to steal with that. Karin, Scion of Urza, 4 mana artifact, or 4 mana planeswalker. That's right, legendary planeswalker. Whoa, let's look at him. There you go. There he is in all his glory. He's a 5 loyalty. Hold on. Ugh. Oh boy. All right. So his +1, reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses one of them, put that card into your hand, and exile the other with a silver counter on it. And then the -1 is put a card you own with silver counter onto it from exile to your hand. And then it's -2, which is its ultimate, but it's a very easy ultimate, which is what I like about it. Create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets a 1/1 for each artifact you control. Pretty nice. I don't normally ultimate it, however, it's a very easy ultimate. Normally I just cycle between these two abilities because you get to draw a lot of cards, and then the cards that are exiled you get to pull back out with his -1. So basically you're getting to draw like 2 cards. Every other turn you're drawing 2 cards, 2 extra cards. So really nice. I like them a lot. Still pretty good. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. This is a fucking wicked. This card is so wicked. Look at him. Looks absolutely like he looks insane. He's a very different from this Kozilek. Very 2 different Kozileks, but they look awesome. This one looks so cool. Wow, such a crazy art style, man. So 10 mana ability, or 10 mana. It's a 12/12, so really good rate, very good rate for its mana cost. It has, when you cast this spell, draw 4 cards, really nice. It has Annihilator 4, holy cow. That's going to be very difficult to deal with. Whenever this is put into the graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles this card, their graveyard, into the library. So if this somehow ends up in your graveyard, you just scoop your graveyard back into your library, no questions asked. Very nice. From what I understand, I don't believe that's an interactable ability. I think that just kind of happens as soon as it hits the graveyard. It just immediately shuffles everything back into the deck. From my understanding. However, in this deck, it doesn't really matter if it does that. It's just a very powerful card. And of course, it's an Eldrazi. I love having that in here. Mirage Mirror. This is a very old card. This has been sitting in the deck for a while. I kind of forgot why I have it in here, but I think it's good still. It's a 3 mana artifact. You can pay 2. Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of target artifact or creature or enchantment or land until the end of turn. Oh, I think that's good. I think does this combo with Dark Depths? It might. This might combo with Dark Depths, I believe. I believe if you don't have a Thespian stage, you can use Mirage Mirror to make the legendary artifact, the legendary creature, the 2020. So pretty good card. Make a copy of, basically you can copy whatever you want as many times as you want because it's not a tap ability. So nice, very cool. Pathrazer of Ulamog. I believe there's a new art version of this coming out either soon or is already out, so I'm gonna be looking to get my hands on that at some point in the near future. It's a 11 mana ability, or 11 mana creature. It's a 9/9. Pretty bad stats, not the greatest, but you know, it's an Eldrazi. It fits in the deck. And I believe, no, it's an uncommon. It's Annihilator 3. Pathrazer Ulamog can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. I believe that's like Super Menace, because I believe Menace is it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, versus Pathways or Ulamog can't be blocked except by 3 creatures or more. Really nice. And then of course Annihilator 3, just a very strong ability, and I believe we're going to be seeing it soon, pretty soon again. I'm surprised that they're going to bring back Annihilator. That's a very scary ability. Reality Smasher, awesome card, very sick looking. My gosh, it's so cool. 5 mana, 5/5. It has Trample and Haste, pretty good. And then whenever Reality Smasher becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, counter that spell unless its controller discards a card. So kind of like a really cool version of Ward before Ward was a thing. This kind of had like Ward on it. A very fair version of Ward, because you discard a card, you discard something to it, and then you can like interact with it. So really nice. Ring of Brightheart. Here's the card that combos with like Blightsteel and a bunch of other stuff. This is purely just a combo piece. This doesn't really do much else other than be a combo piece. And then this is, whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do, copy that ability and you may choose a new target for the copy. Very cool. So you're basically, this is sort of just your generic combo piece, your generic copying spells, your copying abilities. This combos with everything in a ham sandwich. It's great for 3 mana to have sitting in the deck. Shadow Spear. Probably one of the stronger enchantments, or one of the stronger artifacts. For 1 mana and 2 equip, that's already really well. That's pretty aggressively priced. Equip creature gets a 1/1 and it has Trample and Lifelink. Pretty good when you have like a 12/12 on the field. You're definitely going to be bouncing back from any point of the game. And then you can pay 1. Permanents your opponent controls lose hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. That has been a lifesaver more times than not. Because a lot of people, it's very difficult for people to work around this. When you have a Shadow Spear and you can pay 1 mana to get rid of any form of protection that they might have, that is amazing. Shadow Spear is such a good card. Thought Not Seer, 4 mana creature. That looks amazing. That looks so cool. Just another Eldrazi I have in the deck. So it's a 4 mana, 4/4. When this enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. That's very strong. When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. I've never realized the text. I never looked at the text at the bottom. What is it? INTER. And it's trying to say something, as you can see, but there's the bottom of the text. This is a great card. I love this card. Good way to see what your opponent is trying to do, and then basically say, fuck you. Get rid of your winning card from your hand. There's nothing you can do. You can't pull it back out. All kinds of stuff. Ugin the Ineffable. Awesome card. I love this card. And this card is so cheap. Man, if you don't have an Ugin the Ineffable, buy this version. This was a LGS exclusive. And LGSs have so many of these just hanging around. Like, you would be surprised how many Ugins Ineffables are just floating around there for like a couple of bucks. So I love this, and it looks so wicked, man. Look at the art. Seriously, one of the cooler arts of Ugins out there. Wow, come on, I want to look at him just one more time, please. But yeah, Ugin looks so cool. Ugin's a great card. Wow. Okay, whatever. So Ugin's a 6 mana planeswalker, 4 loyalty. And what does it do? Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. So really great mana reducer. You can +1 it, exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. And then create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exile card into your hand. That's decent draw spell. It's an okay draw spell. And then -3, destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Whoa. Oh, wow. That is, whoa, mama. Very strong, man. Like literally everything this guy does is not only like easy to accomplish, but just good in general. Like even if you just throw this on the field, you're immediately getting -2 on all your creatures, all your artifacts. Everything. All your colorless spells are just -2 right off the bat with this guy. And then you get free value with like okay draw spell and then target removal. Awesome card. This card always makes me laugh when I see it. There's obviously a much cooler version of Ulamog out there, the Ceaseless Hunger. This is definitely not the coolest version of Ulamog. This is just a silly version. And I love the silliness of this card. This is a serial series. It's a Secret Lair that came out not too long ago. And what's really cool is that the back of it actually has the text, which is really annoying because I forget what this card does. Oh, and the text is so tiny. Some of the text is very tiny. There you go. Wow. There's the back of the card. I love this guy. It's so cool. Especially for such an oppressive card. So here's some of the text. Let's see. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger has escaped and he's after... Okay. Let's see. Has escaped and he's after your cereal. Contact the identical hedrons to banish Ulamog. Oh, connect the... Okay. That's just like flavor text. Okay, I see. Legendary creature. Eldrazi. 10 mana for a 10/10. And then when you cast this spell, exile 2 target permanents. It has Indestructible. Whenever Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. Oh yeah. I remember this guy now. So there's all the text. So tiny. Love this card. It's so cool. I think it's a very silly card. Very silly. I'm glad they made this. I'm glad they made some of the strongest, like some big beat sticks as just like silly cards. They did one recently for oh man, what's his name? For the big frog spirit guy. I forgot his name. I keep wanting to say Getrog. It's not Getrog. It's the other guy. Either way, they have Ulamog and then they have like Atali, and then they had some other ones, which I think was a really cool idea. So here's a much cooler Ulamog that's just chilling. Much more imposing, much more of a threatening aura around him. But this one is 11 mana 10/10. Eldrazi, whenever you cast the spell, destroy target permanent. It has Indestructible. Wait. Oh no, okay. I got scared for a second because I'm like, oh my gosh, did I just put 2 of the same card in the deck? No. Get out of here. Bug, leave. I don't know if you saw that. Okay, for a second I thought this was a double. Thankfully it wasn't. When you cast the spell Destroy Target Permanent, it has Indestructible, Annihilator 4. When Ulamog the Infinite Gyre is put into the graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. So, very similar effect to the other Kozilek. Ulamog and Kozilek both have the shuffling ability where they shuffle the graveyard back. Very hard to interact with. And then the next card, Unlicensed Hearse. This was an awesome card to pull from a pack. I was very happy to pull this, very happy to see this. 2 mana, artifact, vehicle. I think the price of this has actually dropped, which is fine, not a big deal. Because again, it wasn't that big of an investment to get. It has tap, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Unlicensed Hearse, power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards exiled this way, and then crew 2. Really good graveyard hate. If you need an answer to somebody's graveyard and you don't have a different one, a different answer, this is just great value for 2 mana. Very fun. Unwinding Clock. 4 mana ability. Whoa. Here's another card that got pretty cheap over the time, over the years. Really happy to see that the price of this has dropped. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untapped step. So basically, your artifacts will never stay tapped if you have this out. You can always tap your stuff for mana. Always nice. You can always activate the abilities of your artifacts. It also works with Basalt Monolith. So if you want to tap Basalt Monolith, this will untap it for you. Great card. And then, of course, one of the all-stars of the deck, Walking Ballista, as you would expect. With infinite mana comes an infinite outlet. Come on, show the card, please. Please show the card. There you go. There it is, Walking Ballista. It's a secret layer card done in the master set. I forget the name of the alt. I believe this is like it's called the master set, something like that. It's a very awesome looking border, very awesome finish. Even the foiling is really nice. Really love these cards. That's why I really want to get more of these master set cards. So Walking Ballista is an XX mana, so you can pay X whatever you want. It's a 0/0, so X should never be 0. Otherwise this immediately dies and then you're gonna cry. Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. Explains why it has X. You can pay for it, put a 1/1 counter on Walking Ballista, and then its other ability is remove a 1/1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to any target. Really great infinite mana outsource. If you want to just like win the game, you pump it up by like 1,000 counters, and then you dump 1,000 counters and do 1,000 damage to each opponent, essentially. So awesome card, great combo piece. And then that leads us to the last part of our deck, the lands. As you can tell, these lands are very thin because most of my lands are in the deck. So these are just like mostly just pure lands, utility lands, basics. Obviously there's 25 lands in here, and I'll go ahead and just show you what they look like. So Ash Barrens is not normally in this deck. However, since they released the secret layer of it, I figured why not find a home for it and just use it in this deck. I love the card. It looks great. The card looks great. The card maybe doesn't work the best in the deck. Buried Ruin. We've seen this in I think every single deck I have. You can basically sacrifice it, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Very strong in this deck because I have a lot of artifacts. Paths of the Dead, Cavern of Souls. This is you choose a creature type, you tap it, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast that creature. Spells of the chosen type, and that spell cannot be countered. So in this, you name Eldrazi's, you pay the generic mana to give this basically uncounterable. So it comes out to the field for free, can't be dealt with. Command Beacon. Actually, I should show the art, since I don't think we've seen this one. I don't think we've seen this art of Cavern of Souls. I don't think so, not yet at least. And then Command Beacon. Command Beacon we've seen before. However, it's in this really nice space art. Very cool. It is, you can tap it, sacrifice it, put your commander into your hand, put your commander into your hand from the command zone. So, Kozilek, if it does get dealt with, it's a lot of mana to cast it again. It's 12 mana to cast it again. So sacrificing 1 land to reduce the cost is really nice. Very situational, but could be useful. Eldrazi Temple. Awesome card. It's specifically good in Eldrazi's. You can tap it for 2 colorless, spend this mana only to cast colorless Eldrazi spells or activated abilities of colorless Eldrazi. So this is a card that only cares about Eldrazi's. The nice thing is though that it can tap for colorless, so it's not always dead. Hall of the Bandit Lord. Now this is an awesome card. Really great card. A really great way to give your creatures haste. So it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it, pay 3 life, add colorless. If this mana is spent to cast a creature spell, it gains haste. So this is a great way to give your creatures haste when your opponent is not really expecting it. Homeward Path. One of your veggie cards. This is just one of the veggie lands where it's always nice to have. You never need it, but it's nice to have in the deck. Taps for colorless. Tap it. Each player gains control of all creatures he or she owns. So a lot of times your Eldrazi's will be stolen. Your opponent will find ways to steal your Eldrazi's. This is a great way to steal them back. Great deck. Mirror Pool. Mirror Pool is one of those cards where I'm not really like super into. Mirror Pool is just kind of like generic value, but I think it's okay. I've been thinking about cutting it, but I think it's okay. Mirror Pool enters the battlefield tapped. It can tap for colorless. Hold on, let me get the focus back. And then it has tap 3, tap this, sacrifice this. Copy target instant and or sorcery spell you control. You may choose a new target for that spell. So you get to copy the ability. You get to copy an instant or sorcery if you pay 3 and sacrifice it, or you can pay 5 mana, tap this, sacrifice this, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. So that's really nice if you get Dark Depths to pop, and then you get the 2020 indestructible creature. You can make copies of your Eldrazi's. It has its home here, but it's kind of like meh. It's okay in the deck. I think it's fine. I haven't cut it yet. It hasn't really burned me that much. So Plaza of Heroes, pretty good protection spell. It can tap for colorless, or you can tap it for any color. Spend this mana only to cast legendary spells. We don't need that part. And then you can tap it, add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. We have no colors, so that part is useless. And then the last ability is 3 mana. 3 mana, tap it, exile this. Target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. Really great protection spell. Awesome protection spell. One-time protection spell for your Kozilek. Really nice to have. Reliquary Tower. This is the one of the promotional cards from the LGS. LGSs were giving these out. I was lucky enough to pick one up. That's why it's still in the deck. Reliquary Tower. You have no maximum hand size. So really nice. It's okay. Normally, like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter what my hand size is, because I'm usually throwing my hand. I'm usually throwing my cards out anyways, so I never really have a maximum hand size. I never really need to worry about it. But it's nice to not have to worry about it with a land, because then it taps for colorless. Good spell. Oh, good land, actually. Rogue's Passage. Ugh. Rogue's Passage. Chances are you've seen this card before. This card is in most decks, or most decks that want to hit you. Most decks that have their commander, like a Voltron commander or like a Infect commander, they'll have this in their deck. So it taps for colorless, or you can pay for tap this. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. So really good unblockable land. Great for when your Kozilek can swing for game. Very low mana investment for that as well. And then Sanctum of Eternity. I believe this is a draw spell. Is it? No. You can pay 2, tap this, return target commander you own from the battlefield to your hand, activate the spell only during your turn. Great way to protect your commander. If someone's trying to get rid of your commander, you can just pay 2, tap this, and then bounce your commander back to your hand. So you don't have to worry about commander damage or commander attacks. You don't have to worry about commander attacks if someone's trying to get rid of this for you. Mycelium Garden. Ugh. This is a card we've seen before. It is pretty good. It's okay in this deck. I believe this combos with Liquid Metal Torque. So you can tap this. You can pay X, tap this. This becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. So I believe with Liquid Metal Torque, you can turn one of your Eldrazi's into an artifact, and then turn this into your Eldrazi, to your Kozilek, or, well, not Kozilek, but one of your other Eldrazi's that aren't legendary. So, pretty cool spell. Thespian Sage, we've seen before. Thespian Sage basically is here for Dark Depths. That's all it's here for. Urza's. Finally, we're into Urza lands. Earlier in the stream, I was like screaming and complaining how before I organized the deck, the next game I would have played, I would have been able to draw all 3 of these lands, and I'll be able to explain to you why that's important in a second. So Urza Mine is a land tapped for colorless. However, if you control Urza Power Plant and Urza Tower, this taps for 2 mana instead. Okay. Next card, Urza's Power Plant. plant, Urza's power plant. So this one is, you can tap it for 1 generic. If you control Urza's mine and Urza's tower, you can tap this for 2 instead. So pretty good. No complaints there yet. I believe it's like that, right? And then Urza's tower. Here's the third card, the Tri-Land, the third card in the set. It is, you can tap this for colorless. If you control Urza Mine and Urza Power Plant, you can add 3 mana instead. And then what's really cool is, check it out. I believe they make a diorama, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there you go. There's the diorama. Ta-da! Let me see if I can... I'm not going to be able to show this on camera very well. Whoa. Wow. Oh man, the glare. Wow. There you go. There is the panoramic view of the 3 lands next to each other. These are awesome. These are a very fun side game to try to play. It's very silly. It's very fun to try to pull all 3 of these out in a game, because then you get what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Yeah, 7 mana. This is 7 mana in 3 lands. This is super ramp if you can pull this off. And the next game, I would have played with this deck, I would have been able to pull this off. I was so upset. I was so upset to see that the next card, like the next 6 or 7 turns I would have had with the deck the way it was, would have been this combo. And I was like, no, dang it, I could have done it. Now I'm never gonna see these 3 cards again together. But you know, it is what it is. The fun of this deck is trying to get the Urzas out. And then speaking of Urzas, we have Urza Saga, one of the strongest lands printed. Definitely top 5, maybe top 10 lands. Easily top 5. I think this is like top 5 strongest lands printed. So this is Urza Saga is an enchantment land. I believe the only one that's in existence of its type. And then it has its first saga is you can tap. This taps for colorless. On its second saga, Urza Saga gains pay 2 tap. Create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets a 1/1 for each artifact you control. Pretty nice. And then on its third saga is search your library for an artifact card with mana value 0 or 1, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This is your tutor for Soul Ring, or for any 1 cost. This is your tutor for like fast mana, essentially. If you have any fast mana, you're going to be able to pull it out with this deck, or with this. And what's really nice is that these 2 abilities, you can still use one of these 2 abilities when you're at your third saga. So you can still tap this for colorless, and then you can sacrifice it to search your library for an artifact. Crazy strong land. Awesome card to have. And then Urza's Workshop. We have what, 5 cards that are named Urza's? Urza's Workshop. This is an awesome one. This is basically like a shortcut to your Urza ramp, super ramp. So this has Metalcraft. Tap this, add colors for each Urza land you control. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So this is pretty cool, because then like in Magical Christmas Land, you can tap this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can tap this for 5 mana, I believe. If you have all the Urza lands out, this can, I believe, tap for 5 mana. Very cool. Vesuva. There you go, Vesuva. It's a very strange thing to say. Very strange name to say. It's another land that comes in, that can copy a land when it comes into play. This comes into play, you may copy a land in play. If you do, Vesuva comes into play tapped as a copy of the chosen land. This is pretty just good generic value. You kind of want to, I don't know, you want to maybe make this into one of the Urza lands. Maybe make it into Urza Saga. You can turn this into Mirror Pool if you wanted to. Unfortunately, it doesn't combo with Dark Depths, because this enters the battlefield. This doesn't sit on the field and then turns into something. This enters the battlefield as another land. So it doesn't work with Dark Depths, but it's very cool. And then finally, whew, we're at the last cards, and it is 5 lonely basics. I think I need to up my basic count. I think I need at least like 1 more basic for all the non-basic search, for all the basic land searching I can do in this deck. I feel like I need maybe 1 more basic, but overall, it hasn't bitten me in the butt yet. Running 5 basics has not been a detriment to me yet. Maybe one day it will be, but today's not the day. Oh boy, there's the deck. Man. Whew. I think we managed to shave like 5 minutes off the normal time. Oh man, that took a bit. Because all those cards were pretty unique to the deck. I really don't have these cards in any other deck. A lot of these cards are unique to this. I made a conscious effort to keep all the Eldrazi's in the Eldrazi deck. I don't have Eldrazi's in any of the other decks I own, and I'm very proud of that. I think it makes this deck a little more special when the only overpowered Eldrazi cards you have are in the tribal deck. But yeah, this is my deck. This is the first deck I ever put together. When I learned to play Magic, this is the deck I learned to play Magic on. Not only did I learn how to play Commander on this, I learned how to play Magic with this. And before this, I was aware, I think I was aware of Magic during Amonkhet. I believe Amonkhet was the first set that I was conscious of Magic of. I'm like, oh, Magic's a thing. These are cards. These look pretty cool. The story is very fun to read and look at. And then my brother bought a set of Amonkhet. I believe he bought a set of Amonkhet. He bought a box. And then he kind of kept going. And then during, what was it? It was during Ikoria. Ikoria is when I actually looked at the cards. I'm like, okay, I wanna buy packs with you. I want to look at these cards. I want to see what you pull. You know, I am interested in Magic now. During Ikoria. And then at some point in between that time, I bought the Kozilek deck, which was originally a decklist from the, what was it? It was the Game Nights. I can actually probably look it up for you guys what the name of it was. Who ran this deck? Was it? I keep wanting to say Olivia. It's not Olivia. Olivia wasn't the one to popularize the Eldrazi's. Hold up. Game Nights. Let's see. It's gonna Ashland's. That's right, Ashley. Ashley was the first person who I saw play Commander, and I immediately fell in love with their deck. Ashley made such a cool Commander deck, made such a cool Kozilek deck. And what's amazing is that not that long ago, Ashley pulled it out again. She pulled out her Kozilek deck. And what was really cool is that it was essentially the same deck that I remember seeing. I recognized every single card she played. I knew exactly what she was going to do with the deck. And it was still really strong. I don't remember if Ashland won that game where they brought back the Kozilek deck, but I do know that they were a major threat in that game. And it was really nostalgic to see that deck played again and to basically be the same deck that I remember seeing from all those years ago. Man, I'm looking at the date of the deck, or I'm looking at when the video was released. It was 5 years ago that deck came out. That Kozilek deck premiered 5 years ago. Oh man, I was never the same. I was so enthralled with this strategy, with this deck, with these creatures. Even the story behind the Eldrazi's is still one that's like not fully realized. I don't think it's ever going to be fully realized. I think we're at a point where I don't know, either the original writers have left Wizards of the Coast or they are just overworked and can't be bothered to write a better story. So I'm okay with leaving the Eldrazi's where they are. I don't want them to show what's going on with Emrakul. I don't want Emrakul to come out of the moon. Emrakul, you are safe in the moon. Don't come out. Things have only gotten worse since you've been sealed away. But no, I really love like the Lovecraftian horror of the Eldrazi's. I love the impending doom that they presented to the world of Magic. And how they were kind of dealt with, but not really dealt with. They were just kind of like, no, I think they were. No, because Eldrazi's are an extension of a greater being, I believe. Like, Eldrazi's are essentially, from what I remember the story, Eldrazi's are essentially the avatars of like gods, essentially. Not even gods. Like, I think there's something in, like again, we're talking about Lovecraftian horror stuff. We're talking about creatures that, you know, if they woke up, they would just immediately blink the universe out of existence. Like, unfathomable power. And it's insane because the Eldrazi are just like, they're puppets, essentially, to a greater being. And it's also cool to see, like, the, in the story, they're kind of explained to be like, what is it? Is it benevolent? I believe it's something like, you know, indifferent, benevolent, because they're essentially like they're part of the ecosystem, essentially, from what I understand. Like, the universal ecosystem, the Eldrazi's are the universal ecosystem of, like, they go to dying planets and then they basically reconstruct the planet to inhabit life again. I believe is the idea of the Eldrazi's, is that the ceaseless hunger, Ulamog, I believe, levels the land. Kozilek distort. I don't know what Kozilek does. I forgot what Kozilek does in the circle of life. And then I believe Emrakul brings life back to the planet, something like that. I know that they have that the Eldrazi's are some kind of like circle of life kind of thing going on. I don't fully understand it, but I love the idea of it. I think it's very cool to, like, not just make them this like pissed off gods for no reason. Like, they really aren't thinking about stuff. They aren't really acting on their own will. They're just kind of part of the ecosystem. They're part of something greater than everything else. And it really puts a really nice perspective on the Eldrazi's as a whole. And I feel like Wizards has kind of lost that recently with making some of these new precons and trying to reintroduce the Eldrazi's again. I would like to see, like, what is the aftermath of putting these gods away, or putting the Eldrazi's away? Because now planets that are dying are like actually dying. Like, there is in the universe of Magic, they managed to kill the Eldrazi's, and now there is nothing to, like, recycle planets, essentially. Like, the cycle of, like, a planet's life cycle is now been cut off. So when a planet dies, it basically, from what we understand, like, if a planet is dying, it is going to die, and it's not going to be revived. It's not going to be reused, not going to be repurposed, because now the Eldrazi's are gone. So dying planets are just going to die and just disappear forever, essentially, I believe. But again, it's a storyline that we're never going to pick up again. It's a storyline I don't want the current team of Wizards to be touching. I think it was left in a good place, and I would prefer it to be left like that. Like, we don't need to know what's going on. You know, make your Thunder Junctions, make your Markov Manors, and just leave the rest of the story alone. You don't have to write a story anymore. Just make cards. That's kind of the sentiment. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just like, you know, if you guys aren't going to be serious about the story, then don't even bother writing the story. Save some money, save some time, and just release the cards. Put more effort into making better cards and less effort into the story at this point, because we're not really getting much of a decent story, I think, nowadays with Magic. Now I'm just ranting. I'm just ranting about Magic now, about my woes with it. I still love Magic. This is a good place to end, because basically we're done. Like, we've come full circle. We're back at the beginning of my Magic career. We're seeing what I've done in the past 5+ years, what I've done with Magic, and how I played it, how I've interacted with it. I still love the game. I still enjoy playing the game. I will pick up cards when I see them. I will pick up cards if I like them. I haven't paid attention to the meta in like a year and a half. Because honestly, there are so many cards being released nowadays. It's hard. It's very difficult to keep up with what's going on in the world of Magic. And that's also why I started to play One Piece, because I just needed something. I mean, it's a little cynical, but I needed something else to spend my money on that isn't Magic the Gathering. That's not 100% true. As you can tell, I've been a One Piece fan for years, literal years. Like, oh God, I've been a One Piece fan longer than I've been a Magic fan. And getting the card game release was like the perfect excuse to get out of Magic. And the perfect excuse just to find memorabilia for One Piece, because that's the one thing I struggled with for so many years, is I love One Piece so much. How do I represent that in a small, compact space? And the release of the card game was probably the best thing they could have done for that. Because you can't just buy one statue of Luffy and be like, yeah, I'm a One Piece fan. Because the story is so much more than just Luffy. It's like literally a whole world that's been flushed out, and like it's like the story of One Piece is such a living, breathing document. It's insane. And I know my friend Goofy. I know Goofy is very against the story of One Piece. She doesn't like One Piece, and I don't blame her. Like, One Piece not only is a very long story, it's not a very interesting one. Well, I think the One Piece story is interesting. The issue is that each arc is essentially the same arc. And I don't know, like, after a while you start to see it, you start to see the bones of each story. Like, oh, you know, we've tread this ground before, but it's always fun to see, like, what's the spice. I think that's the best way to explain One Piece as a story, or of each arc. Each arc is like a chicken recipe. Like, you're trying to make chicken dinner with each arc of One Piece, and each arc of One Piece has different spices and different side dishes to complement the bones that are that's a weird way to say it, but it's everything Oda does to complement the structure of the story is what makes One Piece great. And how much is happening in the background without us directly being involved in it. Like, just because we follow the Straw Hats doesn't mean the world of One Piece is dead. You know, the world does not revolve around Luffy. The world is moving with Luffy, but it's not revolved around Luffy. I started talking about one. I'm on tangents now. I think talking about the story of Magic has kind of made me want to talk about other things I like. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna wrap this up then. I feel like I've shuffled this deck a decent amount. Hopefully, next game I will not get completely screwed over by my shuffling, by my organizing, because I've already had that happen once. One of the decks I showed off earlier, I believe it was the Belcore deck I played recently, and I think I accidentally drew like, what was it, like 5 lands. I was really bad. I'm like, oops, I didn't shuffle enough. I'm very upset. Thankfully, the nice thing about this deck is that it has like, I think it has like 40 or 50 lands in it. I'll check right now for you. Give me a second. Let me put this away, and then I will look at the land base. I believe there are like 50 or 40 lands in this deck. So I never have an issue drawing cards. I never have an issue drawing lands. 41. Okay, there's 41 lands in this deck. So lands are pretty easy. I can usually get like a good starting hand. Sometimes I've been burnt by this deck. The only time I've lost with this deck is if I have bad draws. Like, that's the only time. I don't think I've ever lost a game where my hand was like good. I think if I get like a good hand, this deck gets gassed almost immediately. It is insane. It's insane how consistent this deck can get, despite not having all of the major upgrades. Like, I think this deck is only missing like Mana Vault and Mana Crypt, and that's it. Like, I don't think there's anything else missing in this deck. I think this deck is about as optimized as I can make it. Like, this is literally the pinnacle of what I can do with deck building in Magic, in Commander. Like, this is the best I can do. It might not be the strongest version of the deck, but with my limited skill and knowledge, this is what I was able to pull off. And I'm very proud of it. I think this deck wins me a lot of games. Even at the higher levels. Like, this deck probably folds to some CDH decks. But CDH is a very different animal. CDH is just kind of like luck of the draw. Whoever gets the first combo wins, essentially, with CDH. And this deck definitely can play against CDH pretty well. It's not great because of the cost of Kozilek. Kozilek is very difficult because by turn 4, you might be able to get Kozilek out. But by turn 3, your opponents are already presenting like a winning hand. So I think this deck has been like power scaled out of CDH. However, at level 9, this thing can compete with the best of them. I think there have been very few, I've already said it, but yeah, very few games I've lost with this deck. The only times I've lost games is when I've had bad draws. Like, if I get a bad hand, I'm basically out. Because you can't recover from a bad hand. That's the thing with this deck, is it's impossible to recover from a bad hand. You really can't, because this deck really wants to just ramp like a crazy person and then push the commander out and then just try to win like that. So thank you guys. I hope this was good, because seriously, this was my favorite deck. I really wanted this deck to be like, I really wanted to show this deck off for the longest time. I wanted people to see this deck for the longest time, because I'm not somebody who shares my list very often. I don't like telling people how to build decks, because I don't want people telling me how to build decks, so I don't tell people how to build decks. But I truly do think this is the best thing I could have made. And obviously I'm not looking for any feedback. I just wanted to show you guys what I can make. I wanted to show you what my labor of love looked like. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. If you're watching live or watching the VOD, I appreciate you being around and hanging out with me, spending time with me. I think we're done with Magic now, because I don't plan on making a new deck anytime in the near future. I think we're done here. Magic is officially going to be retired from the channel. I might come back one day and do a Commander game, but that's going to be very far in the future. I haven't even figured out how I want to record webcam games. I'm still trying to figure that out. If I can find someone to play with, I'll definitely do that. And I mean, even like a setup like this might be enough. This is like really not a lot of space. Like, seriously, this is such a small space. Like this, like maybe this is like the span of like, so that's 2 deck boxes. And then this is the width of 3 deck boxes. This is not a lot of space to play with. So we'll see. I'll figure something out. Yeah, next stream. I don't really know what we're gonna do next stream. I don't know. What games am I playing right now? Let's see what we can play next time. Because maybe we can play some Lethal Company. Maybe we can play some content warning. Let's see. Man, I want to play Among Us. People are starting to play Among Us again. Oh, no, wrong channel. This one. Oh, we can play Dome Keeper. If we can't play any, or we can play Hollow Cure. There's also Hollow X Break, which is okay. Am I getting an itching to play Cult of the Lamb? Not really. I'm not really feeling like Cult of the Lamb anymore. Minecraft? Yeah, it's okay. EBO1 is coming out soon. We'll be able to open up some packs from EBO1. But yeah, I think next week, we might try, if we don't play Lethal Company or Content Warning, I might play Dome Keeper or Hollow Cure, or one of the Hololive games. We'll see. But anyways, thank you guys. I've been rambling on for way too long. I appreciate you coming by, looking at my deck. Love it to death. I'm very proud of this deck. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and love you and leave you here. And until next time, goodbye, goodbye, au revoir, adios, goodbye.